Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Global Speakers Talk, where stories resonate, ideas thrive, and connections ignite. At Global Speakers Talk, our mission is to provide a global platform for voices that deserve to be heard, stories that deserve to be shared, and ideas that deserve to thrive. Hi, my name is JB Herrera, and I'm the founder and CEO of Insight Driven Business. I've dedicated my career to bridging the gap between innovation and small business success. My mission is to fuse human wisdom with technology and to create values driven businesses that bring people together through transformative opportunities. And I'm thrilled to be your host for today's event where we explore the secrets of personal growth. But if you'll permit me, I'm going to set the stage for our world class speakers by telling you a brief story. Once upon a time, in a lush and vibrant forest, a young sapling named Willow stood among trees, yearning to grow tall and touch the sky. Feeling small and insignificant, often wondered how to achieve greatness. She longed to grow tall and strong, to touch the sky like elder trees that whispered stories of the sun and the stars. Well, one day, a wise old owl perched nearby her and noticed her struggle. And the owl said to Willow, "Growth is not just about reaching upwards. It's about embracing the journey and finding strength in adversity." And Willow didn't understand that, but listened closely as the owl continued. Once there was a buried deep in the earth. It was dark and cold, and the seed felt trapped. But instead of giving up, it pushed against the soil, reaching for the light. And with each struggle, it grew stronger until one day it broke through the surface, greeted by the warmth of the sun. Well, inspired by the owl's tale, Willow recognized how far she had come and also began to understand the importance of resilience and perseverance. And as the seasons passed, Willow faced fierce storms, scorching sun, and biting frost. Now, each challenge tested Willow's strength, but also deepened her roots and broadened her branches. And with every struggle, she grew wiser and more resilient. Years went by, and Willow transformed into a magnificent tree, her branches stretching wide and tall, providing shelter for birds, shade for weary travelers, and beauty for all who passed by. Willow realized that personal growth was not just about becoming bigger, but about enriching the world around her. The florist, the forest flourished with life, and Willow stood proudly among the elder trees, now a part of the stories whispered through the leaves. The of growth had taught Willow that the true essence of personal development lies in embracing challenges, nurturing resilience, and contributing to the greater good. For me, Willow's story is an allegory of personal growth and a reminder that the path to greatness is paved with perseverance and that each of us has the potential to touch the sky, no matter how small we may start. So today, we're embarking on a journey that promises to unlock the potential within each of us. But before we dive in, let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered what truly drives personal transformation? Is it a single moment, a series of experiences, or perhaps the wisdom of those who have walked the path before us? Well, our guest speakers today will provide you with answers and examples from their growth of journey. Pay close attention. This could be the day your life begins anew. One final thought, give yourself a gift today. Please stay till the end of today's summit, and because our panel of experts will be available for a limited amount of time to apply their wisdom to your situations. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's begin. It's a privilege to introduce our first speaker today, who's a trailblazer. His journey exemplifies resilience and transformation. Nacho Hens is a visionary who has navigated the complexities of both the business world and personal adversity with an admirable grace. After investing over $2 billion in two GW projects around the Americas, Nacho faced a pivotal moment in 2020 with a bipolar disorder diagnosis. But rather than being deterred, he embraced this challenge as an opportunity for reinvention. Today, Nacho stands before us as an accomplished author, coach, and entrepreneur. He's the founder of Ignite Elevate and Brilliant Bipolars, initiatives that empower individuals to harness their potential and embrace their unique strengths. Additionally, he's developing Open Up, an innovative app that is designed to offer anonymous support to those seeking help. Today, I want you to welcome Nacho as he shares his powerful story of transformation and growth. Welcome, Nacho.
Thank you, JB. It's a great honor to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity to share my story with people that are watching and with you, and happy to share my insights on the topic of personal growth, which is a topic that I believe is very important for uh, anyone who may be listening or watching this. Uh, we are all human beings. We all have unique personalities and challenges that have to face out in our lives. And you said very well that personal growth has to do with facing challenges. And in my case, the main challenge has been related with bipolar disorder. I did a TEDx talk called "Living Fully with Bipolar Disorder," where I explain. Uh, well, in 18 minutes, but I explained basically what happened to me. But every person faces different challenges, and I think we all have the opportunity and the possibility to become the best version of ourselves or to aim towards that goal. And we should always, try to do that. And sometimes we need a pivotal moment in our life to realize that we need to invest in our personal growth. So, just for to give a quick background on myself, as you said, I've invested in renewable energies for many years. I have a background in business, but in 2020 I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and since then many things happened. I was in a mental institution twice because I had a dangerous euphoria called mania, and I lost touch with reality even.
Mm.
So since then, I've been medicated. I had like 4 different jobs in 5 years. I was unemployed for a year. I was depressed. I had to face suicidal thoughts, which is very common also with bipolar because you have the euphoria on the one hand, but on the other hand, you can go to depression. So I experienced all those things, and I was a person that never thought I needed to invest in my personal growth. And then when I found myself going through a divorce that I didn't want, um, but that's what happens. Sometimes things don't go like you plan. Um, I was living in a basement, and I started doing what I hadn't done before, which was investing in my personal growth. So I started reading. Instead of watching Netflix, instead of watching Prime Video, you should. I mean, that would be my recommendation for people that want to invest in their personal growth. Um, read the best books you can find on the topics you think are more interesting. Books like, well, you cannot see, but Atomic Habits from James Clear,
Mhm.
5 a.m. Club, Robin Sharma, Awaken the Giant Within from Tony Robbins. So these types of books, or the subtle art of not giving a F word, these types of books are books that have a lot of wisdom that you can apply in your real life. So I would say the first step in personal growth is embracing challenges. So you're not gonna grow if you're in a comfort zone and if things are going well. Imagine that your life was perfect. You're born in a perfect family with the perfect parents. You go to the perfect school, the perfect college. You get the perfect partner, you perfect job, perfect kids. Do you think that would be a good movie for somebody to watch? Would you like to? I mean, everybody, I guess, would like to have that type of life, but at the same time, what could you be proud of if there's no challenge ahead of you? So I think it's important to embrace challenges and have a growth mindset in terms of not feeling like a victim, which I felt like a victim when I was going through all these things with related to bipolar. I didn't understand why me. Why is this happening to me? Why? What did I do to deserve this? I had initially the opposite of a growth mindset. I had what is called in psychology external locus of control. But uh, eventually, I guess, like Tony Robbins would say, I realized that we all have this superpower. The superpower, everybody has it. Oh, the superpower of making decisions. Um, it's simple because, yeah, anybody could make a decision, but in reality, it is true. When life is not going the way you want, you have the power to decide, I want to take action and change things. So I would say the first two steps of personal growth, in my opinion, are: the first one is embracing challenges, as I was saying. The second one is curiosity and investing in personal growth. Um, I was showing you 3 or 4 books. I have many more. But the thing is, sometimes you read these books about personal growth and you start connecting the dots. Um, so some books talk about a main idea, others about other ideas, but somehow when you read several, you can tie those books and link them uh, to your own life, and you can start like making your own recipe for what comes next for you. I would say another important ingredient of personal growth is gratitude. Everybody can feel like a victim eventually, but I remember when I was really depressed and even having suicidal thoughts. Um, Obviously, I'm here because I got help from extremely talented professionals, and I was also surrounded by people who loved me and took care of me when I needed that type of support. But one of the exercises I had to do when I wasn't feeling good is write in a notebook, like every day, 3 things I was grateful for. Could be simple things like I have a roof or a house where I can live, or I ate chicken today, which I like, or I even brush my teeth if I was feeling really depressed, and even to get out of the bed and do that would be a huge accomplishment. But this is something I was doing when I was at my worst, but it's something you can do always. We always have things to be grateful for. I even remembered one conversation I had with my psychiatrist, um, when I was complaining about bipolar. Like, my life didn't make sense. I had lost my jobs. I had lost everything in some ways. I had lost not only my health, but also jobs. I was socially isolated. I wasn't receiving the same income as before. I felt like a failure, and he told me, would you rather have a brain tumor? He was radical, but he was trying to make a point. Like, he said, we don't choose what we get in life, and it's unfortunate that you got bipolar, and I wish you hadn't you hadn't received this bipolar on your life. But would you rather have a brain tumor? And I was thinking, well, obviously not. I don't want to have a brain tumor, because that sounds pretty serious. And I'm sure there's people that are going through that, and they also have to find strength and motivation and their own growth. But what I mean by this is, we all have things to be grateful for, and that should anchor also our personal growth. We have to start from point A to point B, and sometimes we have to remind ourselves what we should be grateful for. The other aspect of personal growth that I would like to highlight has to do with changing your identity, which is something that James Clear speaks about in Atomic Habits, and also Tony Robbins has spoken about that. So if you want to grow, when we talk about growing, is very broad, right? Um, but if you're aiming for true transformation, you should strive for changing the identity of who you are. The example that James Clear uses is, if you want to stop smoking as a way of personal growth, let's say you want to be more healthier, and you don't want to smoke, and somebody offers you a cigarette, and you say, uh, I'm trying to to quit, sorry, something like that. Your mind is working against you. You should say instead, I'm not a smoker, thank you. Because then you create a new identity, which is, uh, you are a non-smoker, and then you're going to behave as a non-smoker, and that's going to be a permanent change. So I think this is something we can all apply in our lives when we want to grow. And because growth is such a vague concept, I think everybody should know what we're aiming for. So having a vision board is very useful, where you can set your goals for 5 years ahead of you, and then do reverse engineering. If I want to do this in 5 years time, what needs to happen by year 4, by year 3, by year 2, by year 1? So that gives us a goalpost, and it's measurable. So we wouldn't say, I want to be more generous, or I want to be a better person, or that would give us a true sense of what we want to accomplish and how we want to accomplish that. So for instance, in my case, if just taking as an example, if I take my initiative Brilliant Bipolars, that has to do with supporting bipolar people while they're unemployed and they don't have private insurance for this disability, I could say, okay, I want to help 100 people by the end of year 3. So then I could say, okay, if I need to do that by the end of year 3, what needs to happen year 2 and year 1, right? So I think that combination of changing your identity and having a vision board that is consistent with your new identity and informing your actions, which has to do with what I said at the beginning. You make a decision, you can make a conscious decision to change something, and then after the decision comes the actions. And that would lead me to the final point, which is has to do with NLP, neuro linguistic programming, and is the idea of, to accomplish growth, you need to change your emotions, your thoughts, and your actions. So we are able to change our outcome if we do something differently. And to do something differently, we need to feel differently, because if we feel the same way, we're not gonna get there. So we can see a glass of water and think, oh, it's water, I wish it was a Coke, or I wish it was wine. Or we can see a glass of water and think, oh, I'm so thirsty, it's great, I have some water. So it's the same glass, but our mind is giving us different information. So if we are able to do everything it's easier said than done, but everything I've said here, and I know we have limited time, so I'm just wrapping up here. But if you're able to create the identity with gratitude, with curiosity, and take action towards that vision board that I was saying, with the right amount of thoughtful actions, and the new emotions that come with the new identity, then we can truly achieve personal growth.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Thank you so much. You've come through so much to get, excuse me, to get where you are today. Truly a testimony to perseverance and growth and commitment to taking your life to the next step. Thank you very much. Now, what I'd like to do is we'll switch gears a little bit, and I'd like to introduce another speaker. It's a true honor to introduce a pioneering force in the movement for gender equality and women's empowerment. Catherine Holt is an elite international speaker and author who has dedicated over 30 years to promoting women as change agents. Her tireless work is centered on elevating women into leadership and decision-making roles, ensuring their voices are heard and their contributions are recognized. Her influence extends across the globe, where she has mentored countless grassroots and aspiring women leaders, inspiring them to awaken their inner strength, speak their truth, and transform their lives. Her impact is felt in diverse arenas, from UN meetings and academic courses on women and gender studies to advocacy in the political sphere and everyday interactions. With passion and dedication, Catherine shares her wealth of experience, skills, and strategies for navigating the unique challenges faced by women in leadership. Her insights not only empower individuals, but also drive systemic change. Please join me in welcoming Catherine Holt. Catherine, welcome. Well, it looks like we've had a slight change in plan here. So I'd like to go back, and we're going to introduce Rania Hoteit. It's my honor to introduce a multi-award winning serial entrepreneur and celebrated TEDx speaker. Her work as a global entrepreneur and impact leader. She's an executive advisor and international speaker. She's garnered recognition for some of the most prestigious institutions around the world, including the White House, the United Nations, and the United Kingdom and Houses of Parliament. Her visionary leadership and unwavering commitment to excellence have earned her accolades such as the Global CEO Excellence Award, among many others. Her journey is a testament to the power of innovation, resilience, and a relentless pursuit of positive change. As she takes the stage today, prepare to be inspired by her insights and experiences, which have the potential to transform the way we perceive personal and professional growth. Please join me in welcoming Rania Hoteit. Rania, welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Have you ever wondered what's the difference between a person who's achieving growth and success in their life and a person who is struggling to find their purpose and reach their potential? At first, the answer may seem to be complex, and the voice within us may be difficult to hear, especially when we are consumed by the details and the challenges of day-to-day living, and when we're overloaded by the voices around us telling us who to be or what to do. But if we find moments of stillness, to focus, to connect, and to listen to our innermost voice, we may begin to realize that the answer is very straightforward. What will dictate our growth and success on this journey called life is our ability to develop the superpower we all possess, which is our mind. Therefore, the difference between those two persons is simple. It's in their mindset. It's our ability to understand ourselves and our circumstances, to see past our limits and the perceived obstacles of the masses. It's our ability to create the motivation that sets our souls on fire and move us in the right direction of our visions and dreams. It's our ability to learn concepts and strategies that can guide us to the right place, a place of happiness, creativity, fulfillment, and purpose that we can only find when we commit to our personal growth. But what does this commitment entail? In its essence, personal growth is an active process of evolution through becoming self-aware and taking conscious steps to address our values, our attitudes, behaviors, and habits that we wish to change in order to develop our capabilities and improve ourselves and enhance the quality of our life and ultimately facilitate the realization of our aspirations and human potential. This evolutionary process, of course, takes time. It also involves developing across 5 different areas of personal growth, which are all integral parts of our human development. One is mental growth, which focuses on the development of your mind, such as the way you think and learn. Mental growth is the expansion of your cognitive abilities, which affect your behavior and can lead to the development of more complex forms of thinking that can increase our productivity and the value we can add with our ideas and knowledge and learning experiences. Two is social growth, which focuses on the development of your social and communication skills. It involves the qualitative and quantitative expansion and improvement of our social relationships, connections, interactions, and collaborations with others, which affects the quality not only of our personal life, but it plays a vital role in shaping the well-being and progress of our societies. Three is spiritual growth, which focuses on the development of your identity on a holistic level, so you can become a more conscious, connected person who has a clear and grounded understanding of yourself and the reality around you. Spirituality is understated in many cases, but it does play a huge role in your wellness and healing process. And whether you grow through practicing religion or meditation, or through journaling and connecting with nature, or nurturing meaningful relationship, or even getting involved in your community and taking part in causes that are greater than yourself, this is a path of growth that you should never undermine. Four is your emotional growth, which focuses on the development and expansion of your emotional awareness, gaining insight into your feelings and emotions, recognizing how and why they occur, and learning how to express and manage them effectively in order to choose an appropriate course of action in various situations, especially when we are facing challenges. It also involves taking accountability, embracing vulnerability, and being able to relate to other people and empathize with them. And the last one, which is very familiar to most people, it's physical growth, which focuses on the development and improvement of your physical health by taking care of your temple through good nutrition, regular exercise, adequate sleep, and stress management. This area is fundamentally critical because it affects all other areas of personal growth and development. We all know that a healthy body facilitates brain functioning, and when you feel better physically, you can work more efficiently and lead a more active and productive life. All this may sound basic, but understanding these 5 areas of personal growth is very important because it helps you determine what aspects you need to improve and what actions you need to take. Most importantly, personal growth requires a true growth mindset in order to develop and achieve self-actualization and the full realization of your potential. But again, what does having a growth mindset really means? This buzzword, a lot of people use, but they don't really know what it means and where it came from. So let me take you back. Over 30 years ago, psychologist Carol Dweck coined the terms fixed mindset and growth mindset to describe the underlying beliefs people have about learning and intelligence, and that is based on her extensive research on students' attitudes about failure. To quickly sum up her findings, having a growth mindset means that you believe your talents can be developed through hard work, strategies, and constructive input from others, which ultimately empowers you to work on yourself and become better and achieve more. In contrast, having a fixed mindset means that you believe you are who you are, your talents are innate gifts, and you worry more about staying the same and maintaining the status quo rather than putting your energy into learning and evolving into the best version of yourself that you can be. And that can limit your capabilities vis-a-vis individuals who possess a true growth mindset. So now that we covered these fundamental concepts, the question may be, where do I start? Just give me some guidance. How do I begin? There are 8 key psychological philosophies and practices I want to share with you today, and that can guide you through your own evolutionary process. 1, practice self-awareness. Self-awareness is the first building block in creating what you want and mastering your life. It's about developing a conscious knowledge of your own character and feelings and motives and desires, and having a clear perception of your strengths and weaknesses and thoughts and values and beliefs. Self-awareness is a practice that you develop by focusing your attention on the details of your personality, which can be very unpleasant to most of us. But this is your guide to maintain integrity with yourself and with others. And it helps you to detect any misalignments between who you think you are, what you say, what you do, what you value, what you are passionate about, and who you surround yourself with. So decoding your own mysteries is key to reaching your higher self and aligning with your purpose, which requires practice number 2. Embrace your inner world and enrich it. Unfortunately, our culture often directs us to measure ourselves in terms of externals only. But the more we look outwardly, the more we lack a rich inner life. And people often flee from their inner world for very basic reasons, because our emotional life reveals our incompletedness. And you may feel ashamed of your emotions and your struggles and your inner turmoils, and you don't know how to deal with them or how to communicate them to others, so you deny them. The truth is, you can't grow and reach your highest potential when you're denying parts of yourself. And the key is also not denial. It's self-love and acceptance of these incomplete parts of yourselves with curiosity and courage, so you can develop a mastery of your own emotional experiences and also develop a language to talk about your needs and feelings, because that will enhance real communications with others. This process can be very, very messy, which requires practice number 3. Accept chaos as part of your evolutionary process. One of the most striking takeaways from my experiences is how I began to speak to myself. And at some point, I was telling myself, listen, I know things are going to be difficult. I know it's going to be uncomfortable. I know that I might make mistakes and bad decisions. I know it's going to be messy and sometimes very painful. But I also know that I want to be better, and I want to grow and expand, and I want to improve myself and my life. And I am willing to confront the challenges and weather the whirlwinds of life, because at the end, I'd rather look back and say I did everything I can despite everything that got in my way. So to be better, you cannot settle, which requires practice number 4. Don't settle for who you are now. And back to the differences between fixed and growth mindsets. How many times we hear someone say, well, this is who I am, take it or leave it, versus someone saying, this is who I am now, but I want to be better, and I am working on myself to get to where I want to be. This is what a growth mindset tells us. It tells us that there is always space for improvement. There's more knowledge to gain, more perspectives to explore, more skills to acquire, more traits to refine, more useless habits and toxic people that we can stay away from. The more you improve, the closer you reach self-actualization and alignment with your purpose. And becoming better is not only an additive process, it's also a process of elimination and eradication of everything that doesn't serve your highest good and anything that keeps you away from reaching your potential. And that requires practice number 5. Get uncomfortable and push your own boundaries. Convenience and comfort are fatal for your growth. So let me just put it out there. You can't develop a wider set of skills or broaden your capacity if your experiences are not varying, or if you continue to do the same work that you are already good at, or be around the same people that you already know. Push yourself to consciously step into new roles and activities and situations that test your abilities and challenge your mindset and beliefs. Explore new approaches and perspectives, and rather than avoiding uncomfortable situations, confront them so you can force yourself to grow and expand and reach new goals. But as you push yourself, you need to practice number 6, understanding your motivations and setting intrinsic goals. It's very easy to set extrinsic goals based on how the world defines success and how to achieve it. But when you depend on external symbols of what defines success, know that you're already taking the wrong motivational path, and you have no real metrics to measure your own growth trajectory and progress. So it's very important to recognize early on that living with integrity is fundamental to having a fulfilling experience and achieving real success in the long term, despite the uncertainties you may feel in the pursuit of your goals, which requires practice number 7. Create certainty within yourself. The biggest psychological challenge that I faced at the beginnings of my entrepreneurial journey was how to create certainty amid all this uncertainty that I'm dealing with. This was a source of tremendous anxiety, and it was a major mental block that I really, really wanted to overcome. Again, back to mindset and shifting perceptions, I said to myself, if I wanted absolute certainty, and if I want to know, then I have no choice but to make things happen. And if I don't know how to make it happen, then I will find a way. And eventually I began to build momentum in the direction of getting the results I was aiming for and achieving the goals that I wanted. So creating certainty begins first with your mindset and creating a shift into developing a strong belief in the potential of what you are creating and what goal you are trying to achieve, no matter what that is. When the belief in the potential is strong, you are more likely to take massive action and get the results you want, which in return will reinforce your positive self-belief. The opposite is also true, meaning if your belief in the potential is weak, you'll do less, you'll have weaker results, which will reinforce your negative self-belief that your idea is bad or you're not good enough. So with your mindset, you are building a momentum. And to ensure it's in the positive direction, you need to practice number 8. Activate your courage. Most of the time, our powers don't get revealed to us because we don't challenge them or we don't position ourselves in a way to use them. Personal growth requires courage, and courage is key to life itself that opens all other aspects of your being. Listening to yourself and looking inward takes courage. Overcoming doubt and breaking through fears of the unknown takes courage. Ignoring negative voices and influences takes courage. Thinking about possibilities beyond where your life is right now takes courage. Refusing to be determined by circumstances and limitations takes courage. It takes courage to step out of your comfort zone so you can fully express yourself and activate your talents and abilities. So you always need to put yourself in a position where you cannot retreat. It's like a do or die attitude. Throw yourself into it and force yourself to do the mental, social, emotional, spiritual, and physical growth. The key is to focus on what you want to achieve, because as you begin to focus on what you want, it begins to multiply and expand and develop in your consciousness. And out of that comes the commitment to your personal growth, comes the motivation to move in the direction of your visions and dreams, and comes the power that you have in you that you haven't called on yet, which is the power of your purpose. And finally, it's important to understand what the power of your purpose is, because the true power of unlocking the secrets of your personal growth is not only about you. Yes, it's great to become better and self-actualize and do all these great things, but the true power is here. When you begin to unleash your potential, you'll find yourself directing your actions towards assisting others to grow and unleash theirs, whether that's from your immediate family, to your friends, to your colleagues, or even wider community. Your influence begins to expand. So imagine the magnitude of positive social change that the net effect of individuals like you who are committed to their personal growth can bring to societies at large, from evolving and cultivating your potential to possibly changing the lives of tens or hundreds or thousands or even millions of people around the world. Because how you show up impacts the space we collectively share. Thank you.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you so much for that amount of wisdom and experience that you're sharing with us and with all of the audience. Thank you so much. So what
You're
we'd like to
welcome.
do, Rania, it was an amazing set of experiences that you shared, and would love to share that with as many people as possible. And that's what we're doing here at Global Speakers Talk. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, now what I'd like to do is return back to another one of our speakers today. She's a pioneering force in the movement of gender equality and women's empowerment. Catherine Holt is an elite international speaker and author who has dedicated over 30 years to promoting women as change agents. Her tireless work has centered on elevating women into leadership decision-making roles, ensuring their voices are heard and their contributions recognized. Her influence extends across the globe, where she has mentored countless grassroots and aspiring women leaders, inspiring them to awaken their inner strength, speak their truth, and transform their lives. Her impact is felt in diverse arenas, from UN meetings and academic courses on women and gender studies to advocacy in the political sphere and everyday interactions. With passion and dedication, Catherine shares her wealth of experiences, skills, and strategies for navigating the unique challenges faced by women in leadership. Her insights not only empower individuals, but also drive systemic change. Please join me in welcoming Catherine Holt. Catherine, welcome.
Thank you so much for that introduction and having me on this platform. I think it's so important that we have these platforms to share our knowledge, our stories, our experience to support others in their journeys for personal growth. And Rania did go over this a little bit, but I just want to revisit what is a growth mindset. Basically, as she said, it's the acceptance that talent, knowledge, skills can be developed, that they're not innate, that you're born with them and you either have them or you don't. And what are some behaviors that go along with a growth mindset? Sharing info, developing new skills, learning, constant learning, continuous learning, collaboration, innovative and creative thinking, embracing challenges, and being willing to take feedback. So those are part of what are needed for personal growth also. And in general, what I work with is are developing leadership skills. There is a new paradigm of leadership. It's not just a title anymore. It's not the old curmudgeon Scrooge sitting in his office yelling orders and expecting everybody to jump and do what he says. And I say he because it used to be mostly he's. But it's the ability to inspire and influence others to achieve a common goal. And that is really what is looked at now as leaders, even in such corporate works as the Harvard Business Review and others, and Forbes. They talk about this new paradigm of leadership. And part of leadership is, where I go with leadership when it comes to women is that I think women are a bit disadvantaged when it comes to achieving leadership. And that is changing. And I'm trying to create a movement to change that, but it is still a reality. In that 51% of the population are women, yet only about a third of the leadership positions globally are held by women. And in the Fortune 500 CEOs, only 10% are women. So we're still lagging in obtaining those leadership roles. And I think part of this disadvantage is just some of our social conditioning. Just as I throw in stats every once in a while because that's where my brain goes, but $1,002 billion globally is spent on women's fashion. That's actually $1 trillion. So, but for men, only 465 billion, which is a big difference, almost, a third of what is spent. And the beauty industry spends $7.7 billion on advertising. That was in 2002. So why is this important? Because we, back before even social media, there was some major studies about messaging and our subconscious, because our subconscious makes about 95% of our decisions. And so these constant messages, and back then we were receiving about 3,000 messages a day. Not that our conscious was aware of, but our subconscious was. And so you see this messaging constantly talking about fashion or beauty or what you're supposed to look like or how you're supposed to act. I mean, I grew up in a generation where women were supposed to be seen and not heard. You were supposed to make everybody comfortable. You did not disagree or, espouse any ideas that weren't already being suggested. And so that still to somewhat is today. I mean, look at how parents treat girls and boys. A little girl falls and it's, oh my dear, did you hurt yourself? A little boy falls. It's like, okay, get up and go do it again. Try it again. See if you can do it. Girls' uniforms in schools. There are still schools that make girls wear skirts. Well, you cannot be as active if you are wearing a skirt. Just reality. You can't run, jump, and play if, as much in a skirt. And so there's still that social conditioning that is going on. It's less than obviously when I grew up, but it is still there. So that is part of why I think women are disadvantaged to some extent. In my work, as JB said, throughout the world, I work with women who never imagined they were going to be leaders. Often they had to step up to lead because of necessity or because of survival. I work with a lot of community women and aspiring leaders. And what I have been so blessed to be part of their lives is helping them understand that they have the superpowers they need to be leaders. And I think all women do. Because nowadays, what used to be called soft skills, because they were mostly feminine in the workplace, are now considered leadership skills like empathy, team building, communications, adaptability. I mean, women, we all talk about how women usually juggle so many different roles. And they have to be adaptable. They have to be able to delegate. They have to be able to communicate. And so these things are now considered leadership skills. I think they always were, but now they're finally being recognized. So these are often traits that women have through nature, nurture, whatever you want to call it. But that's how we have evolved, and that's what we have. So I think that helps in identifying what I assist women in doing is identifying what are their skills, what do they have, what parts of them do they already exhibit given these skill sets, and then how can we develop them so that they can use them more effectively and more strategically. One woman I worked with in Kenya, she really started doing farming because oftentimes in smaller communities, the men go work in larger cities to make money. They send the money home, and the women really have to survive with, getting food, getting water, and supporting the family. So she started doing some farming in her own little plot. Well, then she got other women involved because they all saw her having more food and producing more. And they created a little cooperative where they all started growing things, but they grew maybe some different things or to supplement their diets. And that cooperative has now grown to about 10,000 women, because not only did they do it in their community, they started doing it, it caught on, and other women wanted to learn how to do it. And so that's one of these behaviors that is a growth mindset. It is sharing info, peer learning, sharing what you know, collaborating, partnerships. So that, once again, is one of the newer leadership paradigms. And so I think it's important that we recognize these things, and I help women recognize these things. Oftentimes we don't recognize it in ourselves. We just think, oh, we're doing this and it's doing okay, and well, we'll do it. So some of the strategies that I use or have women go through to actually identify their superpowers or their skill sets is, as Rania said, you have to do some self-reflection. Part of the self-reflection is figuring out what is your passion, what really moves you, what do you get excited about, what change do you see what do you want to change, what's something you want to change, because you can lead that change rather than sit back and let somebody else take the lead. Having that positive mindset, being willing to learn. Women tend to really be continuous learners because of all their different roles that they have to play. If you've ever been a mother, you know that keeping up with your kids, even in school, you have to pretty much continuously learn. And when they are in one phase, all of a sudden they jump to another phase. You got to figure it out pretty quickly. And the same in the workplace. Women are often tasked with a lot of different things that aren't necessarily in their job description, and pretty quickly they have to learn. So the continuous learning is also something that I encourage the women to do. But that self-reflection to see what it is you're passionate about it. And as Rania said, to also identify where are your strengths, where are your potential weaknesses. And sometimes you can work on those weaknesses. Sometimes you find people to be part of your team that have those strengths where you are not as strong. So networking, women tend to be very good at networking. We also are very good at empowering others. That's just how we have evolved into, bringing other people along and helping them learn and teaching. This woman in Africa, obviously she empowered others and she became a leader. She is actually now considered an expert in localized farming and women's cooperatives, and speaks at the UN all the time. I mean, she is called on and her way is paid so she can be on that global stage to get her in that decision-making space, because she really honed in on some of her leadership skills. Adaptability. We have to be adaptive. We have to be able to adapt to all different situations. The world is changing so fast now. There are internal changes and external changes. By internal, sometimes within your family, within yourself, your circumstance changes and you have to adapt. And then there's the external changes. I mean, this morning I was trying to figure out how to put this background on my computer. That was an external change and I had to learn it pretty quick. And JB was very good at helping me because it was something I've never used this platform. And then also practicing empathy, on ourselves, being kind to ourselves and being kind to others and being considerate and understanding that everybody comes from a different place and has different lived experiences that make them who they are and how they think and how they react. So we have to take that into consideration. The other thing I talk to these women about are, you are an expert in your lived experiences. You have had experiences that have prepared you for whatever you're confronting, and you are your expert. And your voice is important. It's important to share it and not keep it to yourself, because it adds to the collective knowledge. And decisions are made much better when there are diverse perspectives and there is a collective thinking. And then lastly, and I think Rania also touched on this, accepting or acknowledging failure. And I think we all learn more when we're from adversity than we actually do from what happened, the good things that happen. Because in adversity, you really stop and think and review and look at what has happened, what part did I play in that? Where did things go wrong? Where did things go right? And I use a quote that I had written down and now I can't find it, but Michael Jordan has a very effective quote that I'll paraphrase, that he has missed over 9,000 shots in his career, that he lost 300 games. He was about 26 times, I think it was depended on to make the winning shot to win the game. And over and over and over again, he failed. And yet it was those failures that taught him how to succeed and how to be successful. So it is very important that we give ourselves grace and understand that failure is not actually stepping back. It's the opportunity to learn and move forward. So that's what I work in. And I do want to just show this book because there are often, this group put together a book with 262 women who are entrepreneurs, creatives, entrepreneurs, because it was self-funded. All of us were involved in the production and are featured in this book. And I also happen to write the foreword, but it's giving platforms to women to share their voices. And that is what I think we all need to do more often, because, so long in history, anonymous meant a woman, whether it was an author, a speaker, or whatever. And we don't want to be anonymous anymore. We want to be heard because we have good ideas. Our ideas are important and the perspective is important. And that's how we create change. So I support women to lead the change they want to see and become change agents. So thank you very much for having me here. And thank you very much for all of you that are attending and listening to this on a replay. Go out there and lead the change you want to see. So thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Kathy. So many pearls of wisdom in your message that need to be taken to heart and applied in people's lives. So thank you. I appreciate it. Well, now I'd like to prepare you to be inspired by a dynamic force in the world of empowerment and personal development. She's all about joy and happiness. She's a trailblazing founder of Jump, an innovative platform dedicated to helping individuals leap towards their fullest potential. As an international TEDx speaker, Nikki captivates her audiences with powerful messages of transformation and self discovery. Her work as an empowerment coach has touched countless lives, guiding people to break through barriers and embrace their true capabilities. Her approach is both transformational and practical, equipping individuals with the tools they need to take bold steps in their personal and professional journeys. So, with a passion for igniting change and fostering growth, Nikki Cruz is a beacon of inspiration and a catalyst for positive transformation. Her insights and energy are sure to leave a lasting impact. Please join me in welcoming Nikki Cruz. Nikki, welcome. Oh, you're on mute, dear.
There you go.
There
Isn't
you
that
go.
how it works? We all get to be resilient, make mistakes, get up and be better.
Boom.
I want to thank you so much for the opportunity to be here to share my secret of how I grew from disillusioned dullness to impactful freedom. But let's start off by picturing a little canary flitting around freely in a beautiful cage, just unaware of any restriction or constraint. Now imagine an eagle in that same cage, with its powerful wings and its keen eyes confined in a space so small that its wings are pressed painfully against the bars of the cage and its head forced to bow low. Imagine that majestic bird, that eagle that has a vast wingspan and innate desire to soar, just feeling every inch of those bars, pressing in on it, every bit of restriction. I was like that eagle, trapped in a canary's cage. You see, I'd been in a wheelchair for 11 years and eventually told that I would never walk again. I was that eagle that knew deep inside I was meant to soar. I was meant to reach heights that weren't possible in that little cage, in my circumstances, strapped into my wheelchair. I felt totally constrained by the framework, not of the wheelchair, but the beliefs I had taken on. Those beliefs were the foundation of my mindset, and they were forming my cage. They shaped how I saw the world and how I saw myself, and as a result, how I acted. In that fixed mindset, I saw only the limitations, only my lack of ability, and that lack of ability is the reason for my failures because of all the things I could not do. Those thoughts were my cage. Do you have thoughts that are caging you in? That conditioned belief that my worth and my potential and my abilities were limited. And I felt the weight of those limitations pressing in on me, just like the bars of the cage. I began to realize that this was what is now known to me as a subconscious blueprint. It's an internal set of beliefs. And those had shaped me since childhood as I was growing up. It keeps us stuck in a fixed mindset when we believe that our abilities, we believe our intelligence and talents are set in stone. What I discovered and what brought me freedom was that this mindset can be reconditioned, unlearned, and transformed. And there started the secret of my personal growth. The first thing that happened was I found gratitude, joy-bringing gratitude for the things I did have and the things I could do. And this brought about a new confidence because joy is magnetic. I stopped being mad at God for my negative circumstances, and instead I thanked him for all the positive things in my life. And that brought me to the awareness of how I had actually fallen away from my faith, and so much of the simple and yet common sense in my life's handbook, the Bible. I wanted to be the best version of myself and found myself questioning some of those foundational beliefs. Scripture tells us that for as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. So I began to question where my beliefs stemmed from, and I evaluated the labels and circumstances that had been limiting me, the labels I had let stick. And I understood that if I wanted to change the visible aspects of my life, first I had to change the invisible, that subconscious programming that was running in the background. The mind is so powerful. What you believe about yourself can either change you from being who you should be. It can take you to that place of being stuck, or it can open you up to possibilities and the potential to flourish. Just 3 months after I was told I would be dependent on that wheelchair and others for the rest of my life to dress me, feed me, even brush my hair, I miraculously walked. But in those 3 months, together with God, I had begun to practice a growth mindset. And at that point, I didn't even know what that meant. Well, we've heard a bit today about what that was. But did you know that it said that the average person has around 50,000 thoughts a day? And 95% of those thoughts are the same as the day before. Only 2,500 are new. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, because in our mind, our brains are wired in a certain way, and it focuses on survival. It focuses on safety and keeping us comfortable. So what we think about will actually protect us, but it may not always help us reach our goals. Unfortunately, having those repetitive thoughts does mean we can get stuck in so much negativity if we're not careful. And we need to be intentional about focusing on the good things in our lives. We tend to believe that most of those thoughts and opinions are good and outweigh the negative ones, but they actually don't. The next time you have a negative thought that rushes through your mind, stop and ask yourself, how often have you had that before? If you can catch yourself in the act of thinking negatively, you can start to change the way you think, and then you can begin to break that cycle of negativity. If we want to break out of that cycle, we have to intentionally promote positive thinking. Yes, it takes work. And one way to do that is to begin by identifying the negative thought patterns we have and deliberately substitute with positive thoughts in their place. If you put those positive thoughts in their place, they begin to bloom and grow. But another way to do it is to just take time out from life, enjoy life, find joy, find activities that make you happy, that help you to relax. Because when we consciously cultivate positive thoughts, we can start seeing the real changes in our life. Carol Dweck, a renowned psychologist, talks about the difference between that fixed mindset and a growth mindset, something I didn't know at the time. But a fixed mindset is where people believe that all those things that you have, your ability, your knowledge, your talents, are set in stone and are unchangeable. But in a growth mindset, they believe that they can develop their talents, I began to understand and believe that I could grow. I wasn't limited. I just had to be persistent and work at it. My amazing life handbook, yes, the Bible, says, don't be conformed to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The renewal, this transformation, is where that journey of freedom begins. That's where you begin to widen the space that you have in that cage. Awareness brings about the change. If you don't even know that you're thinking negatively, you can't work on it. So I learned that our thoughts are what lead to our feelings, and our feelings are what lead to our actions. And, of course, actions lead to results. It's a cycle that can keep us trapped if our thoughts are negative, or set us free if our thoughts are positive. We do live in a world of duality: hot, cold, up, down, inside, outside. With those things, we also have that inner world and the outer world. And the inner world of our mind dictate the results in our lives. It manifests into reality. So if we want to change the fruits, our external outcomes, we've got to first change the roots. That is the foundations of our mindset. If you plant apple seeds, you will get apple trees. In this journey, I found that faith and believing in the things I thought was crucial. Faith became the key to unlocking my cage. And that faith allowed me to believe in the endless possibilities beyond my circumstances, beyond my reality. Because I began to believe that God had a plan for me that was greater than any of the limitations I saw. So I came to understand the importance of recognizing that God had a plan for me, recognizing my self-worth, and that I was uniquely created and had a purpose. Recognizing that you have a purpose is pivotal. It will switch your life around because you will begin to realize that you have something to bring to the world. So I began to see myself in a different light, not through the lens of my past or my limitations or my circumstances. I began to see myself through the eyes of God, my creator, who had created me with this incredible purpose and this potential. My value and your value is not determined by your circumstances, but is determined by the truth that we are wonderfully created. And knowing who I was brought the confidence, and knowing that I got to believe that, that's what defined me. We're not defined by our circumstances. We are defined by who we believe we can be. So I studied. I learned. I found mentors. I began stripping off levels and levels of the labels that I had let stick to me, all by working on my mindset. You know, the journey of a positive mindset continues daily, and daily I have to take those negative thoughts captive and replace them with empowering ones. Only now have I begun to understand that we are not just one-dimensional. We are not just the physical circumstances we are in, but we exist in 4 quadrants: mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical. And all of them need to be harnessed. And we need to keep in mind that the physical realm, what we see on the outside, is only a printout. It's only a manifestation of what's happening in those other 3 realms. The external challenges that we face are not, in fact, the problem. They're the symptom the symptom of deeper issues. So to change the external, we've got to change the internal and our mindset. We've got to change our beliefs and our faith. It comes back to roots and fruits. If we want to change those fruits in our lives, the outcomes we're experiencing, we've got to go back and look at the roots and the foundational beliefs and attitudes that shape our actions. So I encourage you to embrace this ongoing journey, this journey of personal growth, faith, and self-worth. Put it into action, because what you hear, you might forget. What you see, you might forget. But what you do, you will understand and remember. So start by becoming aware of your beliefs, but aware of what is holding you back. You may not be in a wheelchair like I was, but what has got you strapped in? Begin to understand where those beliefs come from, because they get built into our lives through our culture, through what we see. Look at them, understand where they come from, and then throw out those that no longer serve you. Recondition your mind to embrace a growth mindset by replacing them with positive thoughts, positive beliefs, rooted in faith and your self-worth. Know that you're not restricted by your past. You know, we perceive so many limitations. Ask yourself if they are true. We can grow, learn, and overcome any challenges if we just believe we can. So I began challenging my fixed mindset, my beliefs. I stopped seeing failures as final and started viewing them as those opportunities for growth, stepping stones to what was to come. I realized that success comes from having that positive mindset. It's not just intelligence or talent that brings success. 5 people can use the same strategy and they will have 5 different results because there will be 5 different mindsets. Is your mindset set for success? In my handbook, yes, that good old Bible, we're encouraged to consider it pure joy whenever we face trials, because the testing of our faith and our belief produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature. You can be complete, not lacking for anything. And that's the essence of a growth mindset. Embracing challenges as opportunities for growth and trusting that through faith, you are being shaped into the person God created you to be. So now I commit daily to the process of cultivating that growth mindset, but always rooted in faith and with a deep sense of self-worth, because I understand that this is an ongoing journey. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes patience. It takes daily practice. And this is what I teach in my JUMP membership program. And JUMP stands for Joyfully Unleashing a More Powerful Purpose. And I've seen the transformation in the lives of those who focus not on the outcome, but on the journey, on the process. And when you do this, you become more creative. You become more intelligent because you're learning. And you know what? You become successful. Believe in the power of your mind. Believe in your faith and self-worth so that you can begin to transform your life. And you know what? You will see real changes begin to happen. So I invite you to take these 3 steps to find that joyful freedom. Firstly, focus on the good things in your life. Be thankful for them. Gratitude journal is always a good idea. Secondly, Make an effort to be more optimistic in your thinking patterns. Take the negative thoughts and replace them with good ones. Because you can't break a habit, you can only replace a habit. And thirdly, recognize your self-worth and grow it to positively impact the world by jumping into your purpose with a passion, the purpose for which you were created. So let's embrace a growth mindset. Let's found it in faith and self-worth. And like that eagle, let's spread our wings and soar to new heights with the expanse of the whole world as our only cage. Thank you.
Wow, Nikki, thank you so much. Really appreciate everything that you just spoke about. There's a lot of wisdom in here, folks. A lot of wisdom that's been shared today. And as we draw the Global Speakers Talk Summit to a close, let's reflect on that. Much like the young sapling willow that I spoke about earlier, who discovered strength and resilience, we too have been guided by the wisdom and experience of these remarkable speakers. And I want to thank them today, Rania Hoteit, Nacho Hens, Catherine Holt, Nikki Cruz, who shared their profound insights into personal growth, each offering unique perspectives on overcoming adversity, embracing change, and empowering ourselves and others. So we're here. We have a couple of minutes, I think, correct me, and to take any questions or any ideas or any final thoughts from our speakers today.
I would just like to say people may think we keep hearing mindset, mindset, mindset. Mindset is the foundation for everything you do, and you can choose to have it be a positive mindset or a negative mindset. But you do get to choose that and work on that. And I never knew that. So I entered this world out of my wheelchair and suddenly didn't know where to start. It starts with believing in yourself and choosing what you are going to do to impact the world.
That's great. Thanks.
I guess I would add that that old thought process, or what was used to be said, that leaders are born, not made. And I totally think that that is a myth. And we are now seeing that with growth mindset and wanting to learn and upscale knowledge and skills, that leaders are made. And I have believed that all my life. And I'm so thrilled that it's finally becoming a truth.
Love that. Thank you, Kathy. Nacho, any final thoughts today?
It was a pleasure to hear all the speakers sharing their insights on the topic of personal growth with different approaches. I would add to the topic of growth mindset that we are all capable of having a growth mindset, and it is a responsibility we owe to ourselves to work on the different areas that we've heard today: the spiritual, the emotional, the physical. We have to we have a debt to ourselves to become the best version of ourselves, and there's literally nothing that can stop us from reaching seemingly impossible goals if we have the right mindset.
Absolutely. As we close today, is there anything, open us up to the panel, is there anything that you'd like to share with people, any opportunities to reach out to you? Please feel free right now. Your messages are the key to bringing the world together. And so I want to be able to provide an opportunity for our audience to reach out to you. If that's possible, that would be great. Anything that we can do to help you spread your word.
Well, I will be posting in the Facebook group, so please join the Facebook group, a link to a self-reflection guide to kind of get you to start thinking about your leadership journey and your personal growth. So that will be in the Facebook group and after this
Awesome.
event.
Thank you, Kathy. Love it.
And I would like to invite people to click on the link that I will also put in the Facebook group, because one of our challenges is that we get so stressed and anxious and become negative. So I have an ebook called Finding Ease and Grace Through God to help you manage the daily stresses. And if anybody is wanting to join Women Empowered by Joy Facebook group, just come in. It's a free group. It's for women. That's why it says women. Come and join us there. And if you want to get hold of me, Nikki Cruz on Facebook, Cruise Like a Ship.
Got it. Thank you, Nikki. All right. So I want to, again, thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate all your energy, all the success that you've accomplished in your lives and in your careers, and the level of energy and the example that you all have set for the rest of us. Thank you so much for all of that energy. And as we leave the summit today, I want to invite all of the audience to carry the principles that you've heard with you. Embrace resilience. Embrace a positive mindset. Let it guide you through your own journey of transformation. Draw strength from adversity. Seek out the opportunities for growth, and remember that potential for greatness lies within each of us. Thanks again for being part of this transformative experience. May your journey of personal growth continue to flourish. So I look forward to sharing other great stories and experiences at the next Global Speakers Talk Summit. See you next month. Take care. Make today your masterpiece.
Thank you.
Thank you.